Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to TTC for yet another round, another race, and we're back at Silverstone once again. But this time we are going in reverse. This is gonna be confusing for me doing it in backwards, but saying all the corners the wrong way round. But no doubt I will make quite a few fuck ups, but nonetheless. This is going to be an exciting one, and I'm sure as hell looking forward to it because it's going to be something completely different. We're only expecting at least 17 or 18 drivers tonight. Unfortunately, BRC do not seem to have a lineup for tonight for unfortunate reasons, and potentially also going to be missing Leo as well. So Callum might be flying the flag for himself, for his own team. But either way, we are at least just waiting on one more driver before we can get going. But what a race we had last time out. And a slightly surprising one of that with EVR taking the victory with Kevin. And I mean, nonetheless, it was a great strategy. He pitted at the right time. He got the net race lead, and it worked. And EVR jumped up 2 places as a result in the standings, getting themselves up into fourth after what was, a fantastic strategy and team call. But nonetheless, out in front, Shazoo did increase their lead over Venturi by 8 points, making the gap now up to 52. And now it's very close for third place, even though FRT had a decent result with Quantum's great comeback from 16th on the grid to finish fourth, I think it was in the end. They're only now 3 points clear of ERT, and IRT themselves actually dropped 2 places from third to fifth. They're only 2 points back from ERT, so third, fourth, and fifth very close. As it currently stands, so that is where the battle is at the moment in terms of the team standings. But let's see how everyone can. I hope everyone have been putting in a lot more practice in for doing this, considering yes, doing this in reverse. But we are gonna get themselves out onto the grid, considering that like I said, only got the 17 drivers, unless Leo can somehow get his game to work and can join later, hopefully in qualifying, if not for the race, but we'll wait and see. As usual, if you would like, Jack would like to be. Oh, great. It's not even taken a couple of minutes. And Jack would like to be inspired with a fact. So, Jack, well, would you like a Silverstone fact or at least a British fact? What would you like? A big Brexit Brit. Okay, right then. Do you know what? We'll get you a Brexit fact because why the hell not as we load into the lobby. And let's have a look. Let's go later. I am trying to search for one. As we're still loading, I'm trying to find something that is of benefit or of use, I guess. Let's say. This could be. I don't want a boring one in terms of like what the percentage was in terms of the voting or any of the nonsense like that. We want something that is of great benefit. I say great benefit. uh, I did. I didn't vote for Brexit, so you make of that what you wish. For Pete's sake. I'll be honest, Jack. I'm actually struggling to try and find an actual proper Brexit fact here. I'll get everything up in the meantime. Well, one thing I can say at least is it's not going to be a wet qualifying session. It is going to be dry, or it looks like it's going to be dry. Could that mean we have a wet race? Do the complete opposite to last week? We will wait and see. Time will only tell. It is so weird watching the cars going out the wrong way out of the pit lane. It's so weird. Really, so I'm trying to go on a website here, and it's actually telling me I have to verify to make sure that I am not a bot to go on this particular website. That's as a Beetle has just confirmed that Callum will be on his own tonight. Leo is having a few technical difficulties, so he will not be able to join us, which is a shame. So Callum, like I said, will be flying the flag. I mean, okay, so I mean, one particular fact is the economy obviously is so much worse than what it was back in 2020. Well, prior to Brexit, I should say. Sorry, so yeah, prior to 2020, it's certainly not grown. That's a definite. You know, that's a definite thing. I mean, it did fluctuate. It did initially actually increase. However, it's taken a big dive, and we're going downhill, down the wrong way. Just like we are in here, going the wrong way around Silverstone. Jack, I will actually get a proper British fact afterwards for you. Certainly not. It might not be a Brexit one, but let's go on board with Callum, who starts the first flying lap of going the wrong way round. So into Club. And Vale Corner we go. It's going to be so weird. I mean, some of these corners are going to be so different. You know, turning speed and everything is going to be completely different as we rise up the hill to Stowe Corner. The new Lando Norris stand, obviously, on the right-hand side. Doesn't completely use the whole track there. Could have used a bit more speed. But now we go down the hanger straight. DRS activated. And now we come into Chapel. Beckett's and then Maggots. I mean, it's like saying this the wrong way around. Do you know what? I don't think I'm too bad considering this is my first attempt in even actually doing this. As I can take it nice and easy there. We now bring the car to the right-hand side into Cops Corner, downshift into 7th. Do you know what? It looks so much easier doing it left than it does right. That is interesting. Through Woodcut Corner now to the left-hand side. They're bringing it into the right-hand side, downshifting, heavy braking into Luffield. Keep the car to the left now, and we swing it to the right now for Brooklands down the Wellington straight. DRS activated once again, and as we now come into the loop, another heavy, well, flicking to the right now into the loop section, sorry, I should say heavy braking, so down into third gear. That car there on the left hand side, the Aston Martin, keeping well out of the way, nicely done there as we now come through the final few corners. That is generally the pit exit as we would do normally, but it is not in this particular occasion, and it's a 25.9 from Callum to get us underway. Right, Jack, whilst obviously drivers set their lap times, we will go on board with the IRT driver. Was it Thomas that was in the way? It's just starting his lap time. No, it was Siebes. So let's keep Siebes on board as we get to the fact. Oh dear. Good evening to you, Oscar, in the chat. Nice to see you then joining us. The 2016 referendum is the closest national vote in British history. Yeah, that was definitely a fact, actually, Jack. That's okay. You've done the fact for me. Fair enough. I mean, I didn't want to do something boring because I kind of already knew that to an extent as it was anyway. It was very, very close, and closest in history of any form of voting. So, but yeah, like I said, I did not vote for Brexit. I, like I said, was an EU Remainer because I thought it was more beneficial for the country. And I think so far, at least after the first 5 years, that is kind of being proven. But, you know, here we are nonetheless. We still keep going, as Seavey is doing now in himself, going down the Wellington Straight. Currently, Volokonga has a quarter of a second gap over his teammate Oscar in P1 and P2. Christian in P3. Now Shadow goes into P4 just in behind him. T-Show now goes in between the two SCI drivers as we stay on board with Sieb. Still yet to set his initial banker lap time. Flat out through the final few corners. Onto the pit straight, and it is P5 for the IRT man. Like I said, IRT did not have a good week last week. Doing it properly, hopefully they can bounce back going in reverse and try and get back into P3 in the standings where they were prior to last week. Sapala still in the pits, as is Knight. Knight is now an outlaw. Melwin now riding on board with us. Tiago goes into P4. So the Alpines kind of splitting and in behind the SCI drivers, so good initial bankers from them. Even we're going to see a bit more of a field spread, I think, tonight in comparison to what we normally expect, because obviously, drivers will not be used to doing this in this way. As Melbourne comes through the final corner now, nice little flick of the ERS level there. Sapala has left the session, unfortunately. That might be a reason why he wasn't leaving the pits. But Melbourne, they're going into P3 there with a good lap time of the 25.195. 2/10 off Volakongan, who leads the way. As it currently stands, Knight going to be the only driver to start a lap considerably later than everybody else. I do need a drink. I know I've only just started, but I did need one there. But let's see how Knight can do. No returning Kevin here for the Ferrari team tonight. So he's not going to try and go back to back here at Silverstone. It will be down to his teammates to see if they can do it. Lucas down in P13 and Knight now on his first attempt. Not too sure if he did a banker and then aborted, or if he's just going out much later than everybody else. But flicking the car through. Beckett's, Maggots. It's so weird seeing that. Does it look just as good going the other way? I'm not too sure. I think everything's just better doing it in the correct direction, but nonetheless, it is certainly something different. Coming down the old pit straight through Woodcote Corner once again and into Lovefield now. But now coming down the Wellington Straight, he has that V-carb of Melwin there in front of him. Hopefully he stays out of his way and does not block him. He should hopefully realise that he is indeed on a lap, and indeed he does realise. Gets well out of the way there as we come into the loop section now through Farm Corner. Very twisty section, obviously going in the correct way. It completely different going the other way. I mean, look at this. It's an easy flat-out corner here coming through. Old turn 1 and turn 2. Why is that flickering like an absolute... I don't know what there, but Knight only P13 just goes ahead of his teammate there through his initial bank lap with a 25.7, the best part of nearly 8/10 off pole. But Sapala has now joined back in, which is good to see. We don't want 16 drivers, we'd like at least 17 if we can. Like I said, good evening everybody in the chat for those who are watching. Or if your name is Oscar, if you are racing and wanting to watch the stream at the same time just because you feel like it and because you can. We did watch Callum's initial bank collapse. Let's watch Laffiti, who's had a slightly up and down season, it's fair to say, for VNT. Obviously took pole at the opening round of the season, but that bad strategy, all the way back to round 1, but the bad strategy put him back and he did not recover as a result of it. Well, let's see what he can do here. Down in P11 at the moment. His teammates just got back into the session. So VNT already on the back foot as it is already. It's the car there getting a little squirt, getting tail happy there on the curbs as he tried to enter into Vale Corner there. As he now rises the hill. Don't quite see the car until they reach the top of the hill there, going into Stowe Corner. Laffiti is going to use that kick Sauber there for a little bit of slipstream. The answer is no. That kick Sauber being max power, as Quantum is on a lap himself, has just started it. Using all the battery through Chapel, Beckett and Maggots there. Now saving it as we now come and downshift into 7th gear through Copse Corner, back on the power once again down the old pit straight. I am not going to get used to this, I'll put it this way. I'm so glad that this is only on once this season, hopefully. Well, I say hopefully it isn't returned, but again, it comes down to the drivers and obviously the owners. And what they like to do, it's just... yeah, I'll get used to it. Maybe. Bit of a lock-up there, though, for Laffiti coming into the loop there. He's got the Mercedes there that he just overtook now, just going to build a gap in behind. But here comes Laffiti now, going to use the rest of that battery to the start-finish line. What's it going to be? Hopefully he's going to improve on that 25.6. And it is a 2/10 improvement near enough. Goes up into P8, but still nearly half a second off Volakongan out in front. How's Christian getting along? He's just over half a tenth up as it currently stands, as he's decided to run the chrome liveried McLaren, which I'm sure I've said previously and I'll say it again. I absolutely despise. Quantum goes into P2 now, get close to that gap to Volakongan to about half a tenth. and gets himself onto the provisional front row. Quantum last week actually was looking pretty good in the wet conditions at different points, but did not get his final lap time in, and as a result started P16, but with a great strategy got himself, like I said, back up into P4 at the end of the race, and certainly was deserving a driver of the day there, at least in my opinion he did. Anyway, lock up there for Christian, not the first time we've seen that already tonight coming into the loop section. Driver's going to be finding it difficult to get the car stopped, but no such issues at least. He got the car stopped in time, a little bit of a long distance slipstream maybe from the V carb in front of him, but where's it going to be for Christian? It's up to P6 with just over a 10th improvement in the end, to win with that 25.3. Oscar coming towards the end of this lap. T-Show, purple middle first purple middle sector. That's what happens when you normally expect from where they are, but no, purple first sector for T-Show as it currently stands. We'll stick on board with him. I know both SCI drivers are further on in their lap, but let's see what T-Show can do. Currently in P3 after Quantum's improvements. We'll keep an eye out on the Mercedes boys as they complete their laps. Volakongan actually goes into the box and wasn't happy with his second attempt. Excuse me, as it currently stands. A bit of a slipstream from his teammate in front of him there. Not too sure if that was planned. Probably not, because Thiago himself is also on a lap. So that is Andrea now going into P4 for TRT. So TRT looking decent as it currently stands. Melwin now back into P6 with a 25.1 of his own. But let's stick on board with T-Show. Is it going to be an improvement? Can he get into provisional pole? No, he does not improve in the end of purple final sector. So middle sector was not great from the Alpine man. And his teammate Thiago actually barely improved himself, only by 8/100ths. Sieb there going into P5 though for IRT. Once again getting himself back into the top 5. That was Lucas coming across the line to go P12. No, it wasn't. It was Knight actually starting his lap time. I do apologise, actually. Lucas already did his lap time and got himself up into P12. Let's see how Sapala's getting on after his disconnect and has now rejoined the lobby. In fact, Sapala is missing half of his front wing. Not too sure what wall he's hit. Either way, 5 minutes left to go. Pressure on for Sapala. He's going to have one final attempt to get a lap time on the board, but it's not looking good currently for VNT at the moment, down in P11 and P17 respectively. Thomas Covers is not on a lap. Go back, in that case, we guess go back on board with AMS Knight, who at least we know is on a lap time as it currently stands, going down the old pit straight through Woodcut Corner now, flat out 8th gear, 203 miles an hour before picking the braking point into Luffield Corner, 3rd gear to get the car rotated in, keep it to the left hand side, not quite flat out, coming in through Brooklands, but back on the power nonetheless. DRS now wide open. Back on the power on the overtake. I say DRS open. DRS is not open. Is there no DRS down this down the Hangar Straight? No, there isn't. Interesting. Vola P1 is just so glorious to see when you're coming. Indeed it is, Smeggy. As Knight with a 3/10 improvement goes into P11 ahead of Lafitte who's been demoted to P12. The only other driver out on the track is Shadow, who's just trying to cruise back into the pit lane with his 25.2, just behind his teammate there. So that sounds healthy. Not. But yeah, as I was trying to say, that is the V-carbs on the 4th row of the grid there as it currently stands. So yeah, so no BRC, they're going to score no points today, which at least is an improvement in terms of they're not going to have any minus points as it currently stands, which they've had a few times this season, but nonetheless it's certainly not ideal as to what they would want. Yeah, AERT looking pretty decent in P7 and PA, but it is still Volakongan who leads the way with less than 3.5 minutes to go. Quantum is going to be the first driver to get his final attempt underway, not taking any chances like last week. Currently splitting the SCI drivers as it currently stands, but yeah, neither Volakongan did not improve. Oscar, I think, did improve slightly on his second attempt. To what is now P3 with T-Show, Sieb, Andrea is your top 6. Top 6 separated by less than a 10.5, and it's 2/10 down to Melwin in P7. So gaps are fairly close actually at the front, as that was me thinking it wasn't going to be close whatsoever. But again, could be eating my words as usual with that. I hope, Smengi, you can keep yourself under control of, seeing Volokongan out in P1. Could we get a Volokongan win? I hope I don't jinx that. I really, really hope I don't. Not just for my own team's sake, but I just don't want it to be a thing. As nice little ad break there on my phone. Certainly what you love to see. Quantum weaving there left and right to get some heat into those tyres and taking his time. And now time for obviously one final lap, but look at all those cars coming out of the pits to start their final attempts. He's going to come across some traffic, it's fair to say. Hopefully, the likes of the Red Bulls and the Ferraris that have still got to come out as well do not get in his way. In fact, the Ferraris might not even get a final attempt in, but obviously you do miss the first few corners. You just basically straight line. But here comes Quantum now for his final attempt as we exit Club Corner into Vale now, taking as much curb as we possibly can through this section, and now we rise up the hill. We don't see the car, now we see the car coming through Stoke Corner, 6th gear there, back onto the battery, and DRS flap now wide open as we come down the hangar straight. What sort of speed is he going to reach? 203, 204, 205 as we then enter Chapel, Maggots, and then Beckett's Corner. Fantastic section of corners. Said it last week, I'll say it again, the best section of corners potentially in the entire world. Obviously Cobb's Corner as well is also up there. A lot of corners on this track, and that's not bias, that's just facts. There's a Silverstone fact for you, Jack, in terms of what, it's not my opinion, they are just facts. Look at the cluster of cars now that Quantum is going to come across as he comes through Lovefield and Brooklands. Look at that, 6 cars out in front, and I really hope that none of these get in his way. He's half a tenth up as it currently stands. The V car there gets completely out of his way. What about the McLaren? The McLaren does as well. Next is his teammate, actually, and maybe his teammate might get a little cheeky toe as he starts his lap. But through the final few corners now, the Red Bull just starting his lap. Quantum's going to get a lovely toe here right on board. Look at that lovely toe that he's going to be getting to the start finish line. Does it benefit him? Not really, actually. He improves by 6/1000s, but lost a bit of time there coming through the final sector. So Quantum stays P2, will be no better than P2 for the FRT man. His teammate, though, down in P15, will certainly want to improve his lap time, as 90 is not coming back out, so he is done for this qualifying session. So let's ride on board with Volokongan, who's a 10th up as he enters the final corner now, flat out to the line. What's it going to be? It's over a 10th and a half improvement. It's a 24.8 for Volokongan. His teammate now is the next driver up. He's a 10th down, though, coming in the exit of Sector 2 through the final few corners now. What's it going to be for Oscar, who's actually weaving? He's not happy. He's lost a lot of time. So it's P3 at best for him. T-Show now half a tenth up. He can maybe displace for Oscar, and Quantum could go onto the front row. I don't think he's going to trouble Volokongan, but it's P2 for T-Show. He goes ahead of the pair of them, and it's a great qualifying for himself. Here comes Tiago now, his teammate. It's P3 for Tiago, and both T-Show and Tiago have upset the front runners. There goes Sieve into P2 now. That I did not expect. 400s down on Volokongan. Could have been a potential provisional pole for him, but in the end, not quite enough. Here comes Shadow now. What's the line? What can he do? He goes P4 now with a 25.0. Time's coming in thick and fast. VNT, they've got to improve. Sapala's only P10. Where does Lafiti go? It's only P12 for Lafiti. VNT struggling. Max Power down in P15. Comes the TRT boys. Christian's only P11. What can Andrea do? The answer is not a great deal. He was 14 seconds down. Must have made a mistake at some point. The Williams of Callum, they're crashing into the wall. Not happy with his lap time. Lucas is the final driver to finish his lap. He's down. He's going to decide he wants to be a Ferrari lawnmower at the end. And that is qualifying over and done with. And Volokongan in the end just holds on to take pole position for SCI, but the times at the end were coming thick and fast. Drivers finding those extra hundredths and tenths of a second, and they got them up to the top of the field. But it is Volokongan who takes pole position from Seed in the end, and T-Show rounds out the top 3. Then you have Shadow and Tiago, Quantum, Oscar, Andrea, Melwin, and Sapala round out your top 10. Then it's Christian, Lafiti, Knight, Lucas for for the Ferrari boys. Considering where winning last week, can they do it from P13 and 14 this week? We'll have to wait and see. Then you got Max Power, Thomas, and Callum round out the top 17. 9/10 covers the top 17 drivers, but it is Volokongan who will start from pole position. Right, as I will now just let the drivers know when to go. Give them till 27 minutes past. That gives them over 2 minutes. That's plenty of time to do what they need to do. Larry, Max P15, lol. Yes, that's, well, if you want to say lol, you say lol, but, or lul, you know, plenty of O's in there. So hopefully, Smeggy, you can simmer down a little bit with Volokongan keeping his pole position come the end of it. Strategy is going to be, well, it's going to be the usual. It's going to be medium to hards. Is the tyre wear any better or worse going in reverse? Well, obviously, instead of it being going in a clockwise direction, going anti-clockwise, so the right-hand tyres will take more of a brunt this week as compared to the left-hand side tyres last week. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. The sun is shining, though, here at Silverstone, which can't really be said for much of the entirety of the year. Saying that, it actually wasn't too bad here today, which makes a change. It was actually sunny for quite a bit of the afternoon, where I live up in the northwest, but here down in the centre, in the heart of England, it is currently bright sunshine as the marshals are just waiting for people to come out, as we are as well. Just over a minute to go before we get going for this 26th lap Silverstone Reverse Grand Prix. Thoughts and predictions in the chat, everybody. Get other people involved. If you would like to request a fact like Jack did, even though he got his own fact at the end of the day, wasted his 1,500 points in the end, then please put that in and I will happily get you a fact on Britain, because why the hell not? Oh, that's better. It's a hard thing when you're on your own doing this. Your voice just goes, you need a drink. Blame Joseph for that, who was not available again tonight. Hopefully he can return for the next round next week. But we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, this is the 8th round of the season. Once we hit the halfway point of this race, we will be halfway into the season. So once we end lap 13, start lap 14, that is official. We are 50% into this season, 50% still to go. And what a first half it has been to this long season as it is already. Obviously a 15-round season here, ending at Abu Dhabi, because where else would you want to end it? Everywhere, anywhere. Well, it's always going to be Abu Dhabi. It's always been the final race for the last subsequent however many years, as it has been here in TTC. What was Paul's Hasho? It was a 24.822 by Volokongan. 400s ahead. As I've just pressed start, for no reason at all, from Steve there in P2. But we have the 5 red lights here at Silverstone Reverse for the 8th round of the TTC Premier Tier season. It's lights out and away we go, and Volokongan gets a decent start there off the line. In fact, gets an amazing start compared to Steve in behind him. Not the flat out long run as we normally expect coming into the traditional sector 1, and instead we've got the very tight twisty section. Steve there comfortable in P2. T-Show going side by side there with Shadow, and here comes Tiago now trying to take advantage of that. He's going to go around the outside of Stowe Corner, trying to go the long way around. Doesn't quite have the grip, doesn't quite work. Shadow maintains P4 for the time being. I will get everything up now for everybody so you can see what tyres everyone's on. What a surprise, everyone's on the medium compounded tyres, where here comes Tiago now trying to send it through there. There's contact between the pair of them, and that's contact to even more contact. Carbon fibre flying everywhere. Tiago has lost part of his wing. That was a bit of a... well, it was a move that was just never on, really, let's be brutally honest. And unfortunately for TF10, who had a good qualified session, that is Max Power deciding he wants to be a lawnmower now, as well as he got wing damage, potentially hitting the back. No, he didn't. He just ran wide because he absolutely felt like it. But there was more drivers who definitely picked up wing damage there, besides just Tiago. Not too sure who else there was. unless he got away with it besides him. But we'll wait and see if anybody goes and dives into the box at the end of lap 1 here. But it is Volokonga who still leads from Seed out in front. Melwin getting close to the back of Quantum there, and also getting close there is Christian to Sapala, who's had a good start here, trying to recover what was a very poor qualifying for VNT and Lafiti himself up into P10. Excuse me, at the moment. But let's see, does who goes into the box? Does anybody pit? The answer is no. Nobody pits. And, well, so Tiago decides to stay out, as that is Christian now trying to get a move done on Sapala, who's got the inside line through Vale Corner, forces Christian wide there a little bit, and here comes Shadow now trying to regain the positions that he's lost. He's trying to get 8th place back from Christian here around the outside of Stowe Corner, and he's just about got the grip there. We're going to be side by side as we come down the hanger straight. DRS over for the pair of them as we come into Chapel Corner, but in the end Shadow backs out. Realise it's a one-line corner 3 here, unlike what Tiago did. And yes, Grumpy, I can see in the chat you are not happy. I do not blame you. I'd be exactly the same. Oh, there goes Shadow into the wall. He caught the sausage curve. And that's a reset to track if I've ever seen one. And, well, if Shadow's race didn't go from bad to worse, it certainly just has done there, unfortunately, for the AER team. And Grumpy is going to be absolutely livid. That is a VSC. It still says caution in sector 1 there. I didn't realise, but yes, there's the track now illuminated in bright yellow like the medium compounder tyres, and a bit of a strange one why a VSC has been called from that, actually, if I'm brutally honest. But either way, we've got a virtual safety car. The first time we've had a virtual safety car, all safety car, for quite a few rounds, actually. I've lost count now how many rounds it's been, but it's gone straight away. That was a very quick VSC, back to green flag racing conditions. And 7 tenths is the gap out in front between Volokongan and Steve. Tisha then P3, Oscar in P4 has got Melwin right in behind him, and in fact Oscar might have been caught a lap napping a little bit there on the restart. Melwin tried to take advantage, as is Sapala on the back of Quantum there, who runs P6 for FRT. The VNT now in P7 and P9 as it currently stands. Shadow goes into the box. He will get rid of that, change that front wing, change those medium compound tyres to hard tyres, and hopefully might get a safety car to try and get himself back into this race. In behind there, Sapala getting very close to the back, and Quantum will ride on board with the Red Bull VNT man, but he's not close enough to make the move into Chapel Corner. Someone who is close to make the move is Callum on Tiago, who was 2 seconds off the train in front of him because of that wing damage that he's got. You can see how much he is struggling coming through Beckett's and Maggots there, and here comes Lucas now trying to take advantage. He's going to have the inside line going into Cop's Corner, going left here rather than right. He gets the move done there comfortably. Max Power once again going off the track at Cop's Corner, clearly struggling there. Whether there's a bit of wing damage that's not seen there, I do not know, but either way, Max Power certainly struggling. Not just in qualifying, but in the beginning of this race. We'll go back towards the front. Volokongan with a comfortable lead of half a second over Seeb, who's got the DRS, obviously as it currently stands. But yeah, Volokongan not really coming under any threat at the moment, at least. Tisha there in P3. Very close there between Melwin and Quantum going through the loop and Farm Corner. But yes, we do have this 10-car train from Volokongan down to Knight, down in P10 as it currently stands. Callum will certainly try his damnedest if he can to close in, as Tiago now finally goes into the box, as does Andrea. Was Andrea the other driver to pick up wing damage that I potentially saw but didn't quite work out who it was? The answer is yes, he is, or was. Now that that's been confirmed, Quantum getting close to the back of Melwin there on the exit of Stowe Corner. It's going to be very difficult to make an overtake, I think, down into Chapel and then into Beckett's. You know, not just the fact it's going the wrong way, but different kind of speed being taken completely, and obviously exit of the corner as well compared to Chapel Corner, and obviously to what Stowe is. So see what the drivers can do with that. Shadow, does he come out behind the two drivers that have made a pit stop? So those three are going to be together towards the back of the field, and in fact Shadow splits Tiago and Andre. It goes up at least into P16, but they are all, those three are now over half a minute off the back of the drivers in front of them, as that is Lafiti trying to get a move done on Christian, coming through Luffield and then through Brooklands Corner, side by side down the hanger straight. No DRS going in the reverse compared to what we normally have it going the proper way around, but in the end Christian just has the racing line. He holds on to P8 for the time being, but VNT looking good in the race. Certainly struggled in qualifying, but looking very good at these early stages here. Only lap 4, about to start lap 5 of this 26-lap Grand Prix. Nothing has changed in the top 6. At least we will have a quick look at the winners and losers. So there you can see, obviously, everybody going up because of the fact of Thiago, Shadow and Andrea swapping and losing positions. Someone else who could be losing a position here is Melwin. We'll go back off that, back to the tyres. Quantum now on the inside, going into Stoke Corner, gets the inside line, gets the car onto the apex, gets the move done, and that's Quantum now back. Oh, sorry, up into P5, I should say. Does still have the DRS. Melwin is going to try an attacking going into Chapel and then into to Beckett's, but not quite close enough to get the move done. Quantum a little wide there. Coming through Beckett's, and then obviously not having the best of runs through Maggots. Obviously that sausage curve there on the exit could easily unsettle the car, as Shadow has proved himself that yeah, taking too much of it can certainly unsettle and throw you completely off track, and unfortunately he did find that out. But yeah, Quantum staying in P5, Melwin now down to P6, now coming under threat from Sapala. Is he going to send it down the inside line going into Luffield there? Got very, very close to the back of the sister team, as it were. A bit of lag there from, I don't know if that's a Mayan, if that was from T-Show there. Either way, the VCAB stays ahead of the Red Bull for the time being, as that is Andrea going up into P16 now, ahead of Shadow, who has just had a race to forget. Smeggy wanting a fact. We will go get you the fact. Ron wanting a fact, but I'm guessing that it will be because Smeggy's used his points, so then you can then get it. Right, fair enough then. Let's get you a fact, Mr. Ron. As that is Oscar trying to get a move done on T-Show there. Not too sure if there was a mistake involved or just Oscar's just quick at this moment in time. Drivers going in very early, the end of lap 5. Lucas and Thomas going for a big undercut here. Get off those mediums and on to the hard set of tyres. But let's see how that goes, as Shadow is the first driver to pick up a time penalty and just adding more insult to injury to his race. Okay, so Ron, here's an interesting fact for you. That did you know that the King, as in King Charles, he technically owns all of the swans within the United Kingdom? There you go. There's your fact, Ron, with Smeggy using his 1,500 points. I'm not too sure how you're going to give him those points back, or unless there's any special favours, but that's for you to decide, and not for me. Either way, Oscar staying in P4 behind T-Show, got close to the back of him going down the Wellington Straight, but nothing really doing there. Thomas and Lucas obviously did manage to stay ahead of Thiago by going in very early. Now Laffiti and Knight are going at the end of lap 6, so maybe the hard tyres can last longer going in reverse in comparison to going normally. I'm not too sure if anyone would like to tell me or enlighten me. Is the tyre wear worse, or is it just the fact that the hard tyres can go that much longer and are just that much quicker than the mediums? That'd just be good. Just so it means I'm not completely guessing, even though that would just make it even more fun if that was the case. But the question is, does Lucas get the undercut on Laffiti and his team at AMS9? And do you know what? I think he might have done here. He's not got, obviously they've got the straight line speed now. So yes, Lucas does manage to undercut Laffiti and Knight there. So that was provisionally P10 now is where he will be, considering as to where his teammate was at the time. And yeah, comfortably starting front. What I haven't noticed is Sapala has got a lot of dirt all over his Red Bull there, so it's clearly gone off-roading and has lost the DRS. He's now over 2 seconds off the back of Christian, so not too sure what has happened to the second Red Bull, but the fact that there's dirt, as you can see, all over that, on the front wing and on the side pods there, all over that car, tells me he went rallying and just wanted to, doing something a little bit different. Maybe wanted to do some rallycross. That is Quantum now, the first of the top runners going into the pits at the end of lap 7, beginning of lap 8. Melwin also follows him in, as does Sapala, who probably had no choice considering the mistake that he made. Like I said, even though we didn't see it. Top 4 all stay out. Volokongan still 7/10 ahead of Sieb, who seems to be sticking within the DRS at least. He's got very low fuel there, has Sieb. You can see there with the yellow petrol light, as we'll call it, or fuel lights there. Not flashing at the moment, but certainly on a very low fuel load in comparison to those around him who do not have that on. Everyone harvesting coming through the Beggett's and Maggots section. Saving that battery as much as they can. Christian now all on his own, 2 seconds behind the leading 4 drivers. Max Power also 3 seconds off the back of Christian himself. Callum has managed to close in on the back of Max Power at least, so Callum doing a decent job here in the race at these early stages. Once again, Max Power flirting with the exit curb and the grass there, the exit of Copse Corner. Seems to be not really enjoying that corner, I think, as it currently stands. He's already been through it twice this race, maybe even more that we've not even seen. Have to keep an eye on that, but Quantum leads the way on those who have made a pit stop onto the hard compounded tyres, 22.5 seconds off the back of Callum there in front of him, and yeah, managed to stay ahead of the likes of Lucas, who obviously went for that undercut, who has at least gained another position now on Melbourne. So Lucas's strategy here, tried to up him and knights himself up the field, but does any of the top 4 pit? The answer is no. Christian does in P5, probably had to, considering he was just losing time hand over fist. So it's a case of where is he going to come out in relation to these 5 that we got here. I expect him to be ahead of Thomas, but as this lot here, we'll have to wait and see. Steve now 9/10 of a second, now a second off the back of Volakonga, potentially lost DRS there unless he picked it up at the detection point in between Vale and Stoke Corner, and the fact that the gap is not really, and it is now reducing, so maybe he had it within the detection point, but only just, so maybe struggling at this moment in time. But yeah, let's see how Christian is as he comes out. He's going to miss the first few corners here, as these are all going 60 miles an hour. He will be doing the, going slow himself, but has a straight line to pick up speed now. But where is he going to come out in relation to this lot? The answer is he is behind AMS Knight, but ahead of Thomas Covers, as I predicted. Just call me whatever you want. I don't know what word I'm going to use. Last time you told me facts about dinosaurs. How was life when dinosaurs were around, Bobbert? Enlighten the youth. Well, it was I'm not going to say interesting times. They were difficult times. You had to keep an eye out for all of them. It depends on what Jurassic period we're talking about here. But either way, it was certainly a difficult period. I mean, the Velociraptors. I mean, they might look like pets, or they could be a pet. But no, they were just little shits, is probably the best way to put it. As Oscar now in P4 goes into the box at the end of lap 8, going onto the hard compounded tyres, will hopefully want to come out at least behind Quantum ahead of Lucas, but we'll have to wait and see. But going back to it, Velociraptors were, they were tough cookies. I mean, especially as well considering that, the leap that they have on them, they could easily compete in the high jump. In modern day, they could easily, jump well over 2 meters there, or 2 meters, what is it, 2 meters 20, 2 meters 30 that the men can do. They could give them all a run for their money. Then obviously you had the T-Rexes, obviously, who, with their arms, obviously couldn't really do a great deal with them, but, they were just, big beasts, really, is probably the way to put it, and, it was all a handful, let's put it that way. You had to be on your toes, you had to hide, you couldn't even put a tent up or anything like that. You had to be really cautious and try and just find anywhere that you could, whether if it was a cave or you had to dig somewhere to put yourself underground. Anyway, as we come through Copse Corner, I wanted to stay on that on board there, as that is the Ferrari of Lucas going wide at Copse Corner and paying the price for it. Lafitte now getting the move done on the inside. A massive lock up there going into Luffield from Lafitte, but he gets himself up into P8 now and can try to continue this recovery drive. Oscar came out in P11, interestingly enough, so in the middle of all of this. The top 3 now all go to the box, as does Max Power and Callum, so they're going for the fresher tyre strategy. But as proven last week, fresher tyres didn't necessarily mean for anything, or not to an extent anyway, because Kevin pit early and managed to still hold on to win the race. As here comes Oscar trying to get an audacious move done here on AMS Knight there, and he gets the move done there. Great effort there from the SCI man, and I would say what position he's going to be, but it depends on where those who are coming out the pits are going to be. Quantum now though leads this race, that is a definite, but where do Sieb, Tisho and Volakongan come out in all this. Volakongan comes out behind his teammate. That is perfect there for SCI. That is exactly what they would have wanted. Ahead of AMS Knight, who's on 4-lap old tyres now. And Sieb is going to have to get the move done on this Ferrari if he wants to stick with the front runners that he has been through the entire first stint. That is Knight running wide, not hitting his apex there through Beckett, coming through Maggots now. Sieb wanting to get close as he can. Team Christian now though with a great run through the exit. You're going to get 2 into 1 here, going into Cop's corner. Oh my word, Christian there with an audacious move on the inside of the pair of them. But he gets the move done. Sieb now trying to go around the outside of what is going to be into through Woodcote into Luffield with the extra on those fresh to hard tyres. Can he get the move done? He's going to have the inside now into Woodcote corner, but the extra better traction there from the Ferrari of Knight. But Sieb is now going to be on the inside line, and Knight does not defend that now. He realises it is not worth it, and in the end he loses 2 places there. But what a great move by Christian, getting himself now up into P7, get a double overtake there done. And Sieb would have wanted that, because he would have wanted to have stuck with Volakongan as best as he could. We did miss Oscar now, get up into P4 ahead of Lucas. Volakongan in P6. Out in front though, Quantum has a 1.6 second gap now over Melvin in P2, so Quantum has broken the DRS. He's comfortable out in front. He's got older tyres compared to the likes of Oscar, Volakongan, Sieb and Tisho, who's down in P11 as it currently says. That is Lucas. Lucas has gone for a spin. Oh, what was looking so good there for Lucas with that big undercut to get himself up towards the top of the field, but a mistake there through, I think, probably the traction of Vale corner caught him out, and he's now down in P15 unfortunately, and he's now going to get gobbled up here by Callum. I think by looks for it, he's got the DRS, whereas Lucas doesn't, coming in through Chapel corner, and indeed Callum has the inside line going into the beginning of Beckett, and yeah, Lucas now down into P16, which is unfortunate. Lafitte there in P3 trying to close it in on Melvin. Volakongan there now into P5. Doesn't have to worry about the Ferrari in front of him. Christian P6, Sieb 7, Tisha now up into P8. He's got the move done on Sapala, who's trying to get a move done here on AMS Knight. Is that more wing damage on that Red Bull? Indeed it is. That is an end plate missing off Sapala, who we noticed had an end plate damage in qualifying, and he's got it once again. Not too sure where he's managed to do that. Either way, one V&T driver up in P3 having a great recovery drive. The second down in P10 with wing damage, and now coming under threat from Thomas here in P11. The only good thing for Sapala is there's a 2.3 second gap back to Tiago in P12. Obviously they pit very early, obviously with their own wing damage of their own. Grumpy, ART in P2, nosebleed, I know, tell me about it. But Melvin doing a very good job here, considering obviously with his teammate who qualified, had a better start, but obviously had that initial incident as it were. But here comes Lafitte now with the DRS, and in the end Melvin does not defend that. Even though Lafitte's got 1 lap older tyres, seems to just have a little bit more pace at this current point. Lap 13 of 26. Come the end of this lap, we will be halfway into this race and halfway into this season. Oscar and Volakongan dragging Christian and Sieb now along for the ride to close in on the back of Melvin and Lafitte, which they now have. They were within 1 second. They will have the DRS going into the start of the next lap, which obviously, the DRS down the hangar straight, and then once again I should realise that. I should know that by now, considering as to how many laps we've had so far in this race. But I'll be brutally honest, I've not fully paid attention. But at the same time, I still don't get why we don't have DRS down the hangar straight. Maybe it's to do with the kink there going on, coming on the end of it. Either way, what the fuck is this, Smeggy? This is called strategy, Smeggy. This is what is playing out here, and Quantum has bolted away. He's got a 2.5 second lead now, pretty much, over Lafitte in behind him. And, well, I think the SEO boys, if they're going to have a 1-2 here or have any chance of it, they have got to get their skates on. They're going to have to get moves done, but they've got two drivers to overtake, which is not by any means easy for them. As we come through Stowe corner, nobody really close at the moment. Volakongan does have a full battery, as does Oscar near enough themselves, but they're still losing time to Quantum. A little bit of lag there. I think that is now on my end. So the top so Quantum out in front on his own. You then have second through to 8th all together in this DRS train. Then you have a 4 second gap back to Knight there in P9. Thomas has got ahead of Sapala now for P10, who is struggling on with this wing damage that he does have as we come through head towards Copse Corner now. Tiago there now up into P12 after his initial first lap shenanigans. Callum now getting the move done on Andrea for P13 at least. And here comes Max Power now with his 7-lap fresher tyres. Then the TRT man on the inside into Woodcote. You'll have the inside into Luffield Corner. Andrea trying to hang it round the outside, but yeah, just there's no real grip there. And that is Max Power now up into P14. Callum trying to get a bit of a switchback on Tiago here, and if I was Tiago, I would just let Callum go, but nope, that is not happening. We'll go further up towards the front of the field once again. 2.8 seconds now is the gap between Quantum and Laffiti. The gap's increased by just best part of 2/3 of a second compared to the previous lap. Max Power gets ahead of Callum. Somehow I have missed that. And now Max Power and Callum are both ahead of Tiago. Oh, that's why, because Tiago goes into the box, as does Andrea. Thinking that these tyres are just not going to have the grip to get them to the end. They're going to be battling for P15 and P16. So yeah, Lucas may as well stay up because that is the final points paying position of P14. Oh, you're on about the type of ads? Never mind. Just waiting for Laffiti and Melvin to get taken out. I don't. Well, I hope not. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But here comes Oscar now onto the back of Melvin. He's got had a good run there through, and he's got a great run here through Copse Corner now on the power. And Melvin's not realised that Oscar is on the battery on the inside line into Woodcote Corner. It's an easy move there done for the SCI man. Gets himself now ahead of the V car, and now just has to get himself ahead of Laffiti. The gap now up to 3.2 seconds to Quantum, who is just streaking away. And here comes Volokonga now on the inside of Brooklands there on the V-cab. ART of Melvin he's doing a decent race still, I'll give him his credit, but the fresher tyres now are starting to pay dividends. Oscar now closing in onto the back of Laffiti. He's going to have to get a move done as soon as he possibly can, though, if they want any chance of catching Quantum here with 11 racing laps to go at the end of this, the start of lap 16. Double, yes indeed, Smeggy, double shat on. We'll go with that. As we're coming through Club Corner. We were on board with Oscar for a little bit too long there, but either way, Thomas Cover's now going into the box. Interesting strategy calls here. Is this a two-stopper? I wonder, or are people going to do what? I don't see the benefit of a two-stop here. I don't see why or how that is going to work. But nonetheless, these drivers will certainly know more than I do. I don't know anything at all. Here comes Oscar now with the DRS. He's not close enough to get the move done on Laffiti, and the gap is just increasing lap by lap, corner by corner. They've got to get the move done if they want to have a chance, and they're both going to have to do it in a short space of time. Yeah, Beetle, I agree with you. I don't understand it. I don't think it's going to work either, but I guess all we can do is wait and see. But anyway, either way, Oscar gets the move done finally on the back of Laffiti, and now with the 2-lap fresher tyres, he's gone over Quantum. He's going to have to get his skates on. Christian now trying to get the move done on Melvin. They are side by side coming through Brooklands Corner. Volokonga closing in onto the back of Laffiti, but stick a ball with these two are side by side, and I think Christian gets the move done eventually, and indeed he does. Melvin now drops down to P6. Now here comes Steve. That is a dive bomb and a half there by Christian, because Laffiti and Volokonga were side by side themselves. There's more contact. Oh, there's a puncture. Laffiti's got a puncture. Well, Beetle, that's why. Well, I've eaten my words. Maybe a two-stop is the only way to go. And indeed, everyone is pitting. I'll be honest, I did not expect the wear to be that bad. And that's the hard compound tyres as well. That is absolutely astonishing. I'm actually flabbergasted. I'm staggered. I thought the tyre wear would be better going anti-clockwise potentially, or at least the same. Certainly not this bad. Well, that's certainly a turn up for the books. Anyway, Oscar now leads this race from Volokonga to SCI now back in the front 1 and 2. Christian in P3. Seeb there now in P4 with T-Show in behind him in 5th. Melvin in P6. And then you got a 7.5 second gap back to Callum. They're in P7. I mean, based off the tyre wear that we're seeing, then clearly this must be a two-stop race, and nobody can really go to the end, even on these hard compounded tyres. But 9 laps, and Lafiti got a puncture. That is absolutely crazy. Christian now goes into the box to switch to a new set of hard compound tyres. Melwin stays out though on his 10-lap-old tyres. That's a bold one. Maybe it's the pad drivers that are just struggling. I'm not. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see as this race comes to its conclusion. Either way, we are now on lap 18. As I said, Oscar leads the way from Volokonga. Sieb and T-Show P3 and P4. Melvin has now dropped out of the DRS in P5. Obviously struggling with his 10-lap-old hard tyres. Yeah, they're just gonna obviously the amount of wear that they've got. Callum now P6 with Max Power P7. Quantum, the first of the drivers to have pitted twice. In P8 now, and he will just catch that lot hand over fist. So a purple first sector on his first flying lap. Christian comes out in P9, 8.5 seconds though off the back of Quantum, whose strategy is certainly paying off as it currently stands. Lafiti, after getting his punches, now down into P10 as it currently stands, as Max Power and Callum going side by side through Luffield Corner. Now Max Power going to have the inside into into Brooklands. Callum going for a bit of a switchback down the Wellington Straight. Even we're side by side here between the pair of them, but Callum decides to back out of it and go back in behind the kick salvo of Max Power there, who gets himself up into P6. Out in front, do the top 4 go into the pits? Do any of them go into the pits? The answer is no. They all stay out, so maybe they are all going for a one-stop strategy if they've got better tyre wear. Melwin doesn't. He does indeed go into the box. Probably a lap too late now, really, if I'm honest. Unless he's going to go into some mediums, but that just wouldn't make sense, really. I mean, you do a level lap on hards now, and then you're going to do 7-8 laps now at this stint. Bit of a strange one. Either way, Quantum, fastest lap of the race, 28.0. They're closing in hand over fist, but yep, no, Melwin does go onto the mediums. So we'll see what he can do with this audacious and very different strategy. Lafiti now getting closed in once again by Thomas Covers there. Boy, it's now P9 and P10 unless they come up behind Melvin, but no, they come out ahead at the V-Carb, and I believe Knight will also... No, he does not. He comes out behind. Let's go back towards the front of the race, and Oscar leads Volokongan still. But Volokongan has wing damage. Now, that I did not see. Where did that happen? That must have been at the Lupin Farm section when he was with battling with Christian and trying to get the move done on Lafiti. I'm going to go with. Either way, Oscar is dragging him along for the ride, and at least as it currently stands, Volokongan not suffering too much. But yeah, Oscar's going to certainly have to do a job to ensure that his teammate stays with him in the DRS. But Sieb and Tisha will see that, they'll recognise it, and will want to get ahead of the of that Mercedes. Callum there in P5 now, doing a great job. Being obviously the sole driver racing tonight. Max Power now back in behind him, P6. Quantum closing in on everybody in front of him with his much fresher tyres, but is it going to be too little too late? Obviously pad driver, pad wear, it's going to be skyrocketing and be high through the roof, but he's still going to be quicker towards the end of the race. It might just be too little too late, unfortunately, for the FRT man, but he's doing his damnedest to see what he can do. Christian there in P8 from Lafiti in P9, who has got a time penalty, and Thomas rounds out the top 10 when he has Melwin now for company on his fresh mediums. Although that is an interesting line there by Melwin, I think got unsettled on the exit there, on the entry curb I should say, going into Stowe Corner. As out in front, we've had a swap of position, and Oscar has relinquished the lead to his teammate Volokongan, who might actually even be quicker at this point with his one lap fresher tyres, even with the wing damage that he does have. Either way, SCI have now swapped for first and second. Volokongan now retakes the lead from his teammate. Sieb and T-Show just sticking him behind, not really interested at the moment to go for a move, but we'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses. Thomas Covers getting very close to the back of Lafiti there for P9, as is Melwin as well on his fresh mediums, who will have the grip at these early stages. He's going to have to get a move done as soon as he can to use these tyres to his benefit. Quantum 3 seconds per lap faster as it currently stands. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, as there goes Melwin trying to get a move done on Thomas down the inside into the loop section, now into Farm Corner, and he's got a little bit of lack of traction with it going into the grass ever so slightly. Thomas maintains P10 for the time being, but here comes Melwin with pretty much next to no battery, trying to get a move done, but does not get it done. I will have a look at the lap times as to what the 4 leaders do and what Quantum does. 5.5 laps to go for the leaders in this race, as Sapala just starts his 21st lap down in P16. VNT not having a good race. You know, they need to gain points on SCI, but they're first and second, as VNT are 9th and 16th, and that gap is just going to increase as that is down the inside for Melwin there, showing Tiago how you get the move done through Chapel and Beckett, and that is a great move there from the AERT man, and gets himself back into the top 10 as it currently stands. Well, I say that, and now he gets a time penalty. Sorry, Grumpy. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out for me. I've got to remember that after an hour nearly that it does kick me out of it, but I keep forgetting. Apologies for anybody who was off-putted by that. I did, as a result of that, miss what sort of lap times the leaders were doing. But let's see. Quantum now starting his 22nd lap, 1.8 seconds off the back of Max Power and Callum in front of him. So there's definitely a P5 on the card here for Quantum. It's a case of what can he do about the 4 leaders out in front. Lafiti now pulling away from Melwin, who I think that mistake that he made has cost him any chance of trying to close in on the lead VNT driver, who, as I said, are not having a great race as it currently stands. After what was a decent start to try and recover themselves, is now just going downhill. Mistake there from Thomas Covers allows Knight to close in, and Knight will now have the DRS going down the hanger straight, but he's not really going to be close enough, I think, to make any impression on the Aston Martin in front of him. Just looking RD quickly. Well, I could do, but at the same time I could just wait and see, as that is a multi not 2-1 driver swap there for FRT. Quantum gets the move done ahead of his teammate Max Power, and will now want to get the move done on Callum there for P5. Goes wide though through the exit of Brooklands. He's going to use that battery if he can down this Wellington straight to close in on the back of the Williams. But he's not going to be close enough, and we'll have to stick behind him for the time being. So let's see what all lap times the leaders are doing as Volokongan goes across the start-finish line. Starts lap 23 to 30.6 there for Volokongan. Obviously, Quantum is going to be losing time at the moment because obviously he's stuck in traffic. He's got the move on Callum now. He put up into P5, and even with those overtakes, he's still 1.4 seconds quicker on that lap. It's not enough to close in on the top 4. He's going to have to hope that their tyres just drop off considerably in these last 4 laps, or else it's going to be too little too late for the FRT man. But he's giving it a good go nonetheless, so full credit to him being on a pad and trying to get a 2-stop to work. Nothing really happening further behind. Tiago just trying to stick with Andrea there. These two battling over what are the final 2 places for the points here as it stands. Lucas in P15 after his mishap. What could have been a decent points haul there for himself is now not going to be surpassing, as that is Thomas now getting the move done on Melwin. Melwin's mediums have clearly gone already at this early stage. They've only done 4 laps, now on their 5th. And yeah, maybe the hard tyre is clearly the better race tyre. Going in, you know, doing Silverstone in reverse here as Leviti pulls away from these two further up ahead. Max Power now trying to close back in on Callum. These two having a good recovery drive after a poor showing in qualifying. Callum was last on the grid, let's bear in mind, and he currently runs P6 and doing a great job. Let's see what lap times the leaders do this time compared to Quantum, who's had a lap to be on his own. So 31 flat there from Volokongan. What is it going to be for Quantum as he comes through the final couple of corners now and onto the start-finish straight? And the answer is, it's a 29.4. It's another 1.7 seconds gain, but it's not enough at this rate, and he's going to end up being in P5, unfortunately, for the FRT man. It is going to be between these front 4, unless there is a puncture and something happens. Spawn. Enlighten me, dams. What do we mean by spawn? It's not COD. It's not Battlefield. Although Battlefield obviously does come out. Very soon. I did pre-order it the other day, and will be enjoying playing that game as soon as it is available to play. Either way, top four still remains as it is. 2.5 laps to go for these front four. SCI still lead the way with a 1-2 from Sieb and T-Show. They have been the lead for pretty much all, well, bar Quantum, this entire race. And it looks like it's going to be between these four. I'm still surprised that Volokongan, even with that wing damage, has got the pace here that he's got, and he's still holding a 7/10 gap over his teammate, who I think is just going to be used as a buffer, and to just ensure that he's not going to be threatened at all going into the final 2 laps. Let's just see if there's a big tyre drop-off on this lap, though, for the leaders as Volokongan comes through. The final corner now starts the penultimate lap of this race. It's a 30.8, so in fact quicker than the previous lap. What's it going to be for Quantum as he starts his penultimate lap? It's a 29.3. It's another 2.5, but yeah, it's not going to be enough as Thomas covers and Melwin now fighting away for P10, and Knight now trying to get involved. As I've got off that, T-Show has made the move on Sieb. I do apologise. I was going to say, don't sack me. You can't sack me. But either way, T-Show got the move done there from Sieb. I don't know if Sieb made a mistake or it was just opportunistic there for the TFT man. Either way, T-Show gets the move done up into P3, but they've lost the DRS now off the 2 SCI drivers, who can just pull away as much as they can. Let's see if they can stay out of the DRS there from the TF10 driver in behind them, but they're not going to use their battery unless they really need to. T-Show is closing in, hand over fist, but he's draining that battery just to give himself any chance, any opportunity. I think Sieb's tyres have gone. I think that's why he's now struggling. Quantum still closing in. Melwin has now lost out to Knight. Excuse me, for P11. Andrea now joining the penalty club. Only 4 drivers with a penalty as it currently stands, but that is the penalty club at the moment. T-Show now 0.8 of a second off the back of Oscar, but he's not got the battery compared to what the 2 leaders do as they come through the loop for the penultimate time. Just over a lap to go for Volokongan, who took pole position. Can he convert it into a win? Will Oscar take it away from him, or will he just sit in behind? We'll probably wait and see. This could be a multi-2-1 situation, but nonetheless, it's been a good race here for SCI, who have got these hard tyres to work. Obviously, unlike the pad drivers who have had to suffer. Max Power has actually now pulled over 2 seconds over Callum. As it stands, I've now got an ad with the last lap of this race. It's a good thing that I don't need to watch the ad, and obviously you can just leave and go back on it again. That is what would be better. Either way, Christian now closing in on the back of Callum as we come into Stoke Corner for the final time. Is there going to be a move done here with the aid of DRS going into Chapel? Callum goes over to the right hand side. He's going to try and defend them, but round the outside will then be the inside into Beckett, and it's a good move there from Christian. Oh, look at how much wear is on that front right tyre of Callum's. That tyre is going to explode any second now. Out in front, coming into Luffield. Less than half a lap to go. In fact, a third of a lap to go here for the 4 race leaders, and there's no change out from Sieb trying to get a move done there on T-Show for P3, but he's not going to be quite close enough. Out in front, it has been a great race here from SCI. I question the strategy, thinking, why are they going to the end of this race with Quantum closing in as he still is? That gap now 3 seconds between Sieb and Quantum. 2 more laps and he'd have had that. There's a driver going slow. That might be Melwin, I think, who's picked up a puncture on his medium compound tyres. But even with the wing damage, he cannot be stopped. Volokongan wins for SCI. Oscar takes P2. It's an SCI 1-2. They extend their lead out in front of the championship once again. T-Show with a very good P3 to get the move done on Sieb on the penultimate lap, who takes P4. Quantum with an inspiring but nonetheless 2 laps short. 2 pit stop strategy takes P5 from his teammate Max Power in P6, so a decent race there for FRT in the end. Christian takes P7. Callum from last to 8th takes P8. Great effort there from Callum. Knight is P9, Thomas P10. Thiago ends up at least in P11, so regaining some points at least. Lafiti actually had a 10-second penalty. That's why he drops to to P12. Grumpy says, yeah, chalk it. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, what looked like, a decent qualifying, unfortunately, not paying dividends in the race for your drivers for different reasons. Um, Either way, that was round 8 of the season. Silverstone in reverse, and it is. I mean, it's a like I said, SCI 1-2, perfect race, perfect strategy in the end, and they will be over the moon. Callum getting driver of the day. Do you know what? I'm not going to disagree with that. He did a great job there. But these are your provisional race results. Volakonga from pole takes the win here. Doesn't get the Grand Slam, obviously, but nonetheless, it's maximum points for SCI taking first and second, minus the fastest lap there. T-Show in P3 for TF10 doing a great job. 1.1 off the lead in the end with Steve in P4. Quantum is fifth ahead of his team, and Max Power in sixth. Christian is seventh from Callum. Knight and Thomas rounding out your top 10. Then you have Tiago Lafitte with that 10-second time penalty, drops from 9th to 12th. Andrea takes P13, and Lucas picks up the final points there in P14 with Sapala the finishing in P15. Melvin obviously got a puncture on that final lap, ends at P16 with his teammate Shadow DNFing and leaving towards the first third, I believe, of this race. Really, Oscar? Really? You request a fact now at the end of the race. Right, okay. Okay, you can have your fact. Okay, so here's your fact, Oscar. I gave a fact about King Charles earlier, so let's do another royal fact, this time about Queen Elizabeth I. Did you know that she, in the oh God, what would it be? Sometime in the 18th century, I think. She got the first flushing toilet. There you go. Queen Elizabeth I had the first flushing toilet. That's where it all stemmed from. No idea how it was done. Certainly wasn't obviously to how we do it in modern day now, but that is your fact, Oscar. So enjoy it. Use that and don't think about it too much for the rest of the night. But like I said, that was the 8th round of the TTC Premier tier. Obviously, we do have the top tier and Artemis tier tomorrow night and Friday. So please, obviously, if watch those races as they do. Silverstone in reverse. That is it from me tonight. I hope you all enjoyed that race. That certainly was very different. Next week, we go back to going in the proper direction around the circuit, and we go to one of my favourites and best tracks, and that is to the Shanghai International Circuit in China. For next week and round 9 of the season. But that has been myself, Mr. Bobbert, in the box for you tonight. I will see you all next week. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your night and the rest of your week. Goodbye for now.